with some logistics and intros. Welcome everybody to our Getting Started with NotebookLM, part of our AI in 30 Minutes series. So Ernest and I are from the Digital Futures Institute, or DFI, which is a department at Teachers College, which is part of Columbia University. I'm Debbie Beaudry. I am the Director of Academic Technology. Ernest?
Hi, my name is Ernest Chen. I'm the Senior Educational Technologist of DFI, and I'm going to watch out for the Q&A and the chat box today. Thank you,
Thank you.
Debbie.
Thanks, Ernest. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. So if you want to share with others, I recommend you share it in the chat. If you have information that you want to share with others, feel free to do that. Any questions that you have, please put in the Q&A. Ernest will keep an eye on that. Any he can answer, he will. And at the end, we'll answer any that haven't been answered yet. This is being recorded and it will be posted to YouTube and the link will be shared with everyone. I just want to double check. Okay. So what is on? I just want to make sure that this is being recorded, right? Yes, it is. Okay. Got it. All right. So let's get started with what's on the agenda for today. So first of all, what is NotebookLM? We'll talk about that. How you can add sources to the notebook, how you can use the AI chat feature with your sources, how to create new resources, and some things to consider for use. So first of all, what is NotebookLM? Now, you see in the little picture here, just a little letting you know that these images that we have in here were AI generated. So I always know what tool we use to generate them. And most of the time I put the date and the prompt that I use to generate them. So in this picture, we have a student using a physical notebook, 3-ring binder, and where you used to be able to put papers into it so that you can keep things organized. NotebookLM is like that, but it's an electronic digital version of a notebook. So you can upload your resources for a specific subject, and I'll show you how to do this. I'll be giving some demonstrations. The sources that you can upload are text, audio, and video. And then the AI can answer questions about all of the sources that you have uploaded. AI can also create study guides, mind maps, flashcards, quizzes, podcasts, video presentations, and even more. And we'll take a look at most of those very quickly today. So I am going to be showing you how to use TC's NotebookLM, which is very similar to what you would get if you were using NotebookLM that was connected to your personal Gmail account. But if you are a TC student, faculty, or staff member, you have access to all of the Google Gemini products, including NotebookLM. And you want to use that because we have a contract with Google. So the information that you enter into any of these Google AI products with your TC Uni is not used to train the AI models, Google's AI models. It's also covered, whatever you're doing with it is covered under the terms of service that TC already has in place with Google, which means that they're not sharing this information with third parties or anything like that. So sometimes people ask me, oh, I'm using the paid version with my personal email and I've checked all the boxes. It's still not the same guarantee that you get or assurances that you get with using your TC account. Also, TC Gemini is supported by TCIT, so they can help with troubleshooting, answering questions. You can open up a ticket and then they or we can answer questions for you. So I'm going to demonstrate how to create a notebook using a Google account. I am going to use my TC account. So there's lots of ways of doing this, but I think the easiest is to just go to the Google search page and use the Google Apps icon. It looks like a waffle. But before I do that, I'm just checking to see that this is my TC account that I'm using. I'm also logged into Chrome with my work account. And a little trick that I use to help me notice if I'm using my personal or work account is I have two different pictures that I use. I use a different picture for my school account than I do for my personal account. So it's easy to see that. All right, so I will go here and I'm going to go down until I see Notebook LM. Now these are the notebooks. I've already created some. And if you want, when you're starting new, you can just click create a new notebook. This is not what we want to see. Notebook LM is currently experiencing issues that may affect the quality of your experience. Bad timing on your part, Google, for this. I'm going to close this out. And it comes up and says Untitled Notebook. So I'm going to call this, I am very interested in environmental issues, composting. So I'm going to start a composting notebook. And so now I have to add some content in here. So those are called sources. And the way that I do that is I click on add source, and there's lots of different sources you can upload. Now, if you want, you can type in and have it search for news sources, which is basically a Google search rather, and it gives you all the websites that are related to all the content that's related to your search. But I find it a little bit hard to go through this. It feels like there's something between me and my search. So I like to just use my search, Gemini, whatever. I mean, sorry, the Google search, and just find my sources that way rather than going through the AI. That just seems to add another step in there. So things that we can upload is I will upload a file. So I have a document, a PDF that I have about composting. I'm going to upload that from my computer, and it's processing over here. And now it gives me a summary of that document and then some questions that I could ask about it. If I click on it here, I can see below, this is what it's actually a PDF of a website. So it's showing me what's on there, what's part of that source. Okay, so let's add another source in here. So you see that it says websites, but it also has a YouTube icon there. So I'm going to click website, and you can type in the URL for a website or YouTube video. So I have, let me just see. New York City has a curbside composting program. So right here is a guide to composting in New York City. I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to go back to my notebook, and I am going to paste in that link and choose insert. So now it's processing that. And now when I click on it, this is what's on that website so I can see the content. All right, I'll just have one more source to show you. I can click a link. Oh, I just did that. Oh, I know. I want to add in a YouTube video. So here's a YouTube video about composting. I will copy this URL and I will put it in, paste it in here, insert. There we go. So now I have 3 sources that I can use for this notebook, and I can start asking it questions, but with only 3 sources, there isn't a ton to see here. So I am going to, it's like the cooking channel. I've already started one for you. And so here's one about assessment in the age of AI. So I have multiple sources here, files, websites, all that sort of thing. And now in the center here, I can start typing and I can start asking it questions, which is just like when you're using a chatbot using Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude. The only difference is that it is using the sources that I uploaded, the sources I've checked, the sources I've vetted, and it's using that to answer my questions. So let me get to my presentation. Okay. We did this notebook. Oh, I forgot to talk about that, but I will go back to that. So I can put my chat in here. What are the top 5 faculty concerns about assessment? And so rather than you watching me type all of that again, I will copy and paste that in here, and it's reviewing 14 sources. It will use these 14 sources to answer that question. And then I will looking for clues, finding the relevant information. All right, so since it says it's giving, oh, good, yay, it answered my question. Okay, so I asked for the 5 top concerns. It gave me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so now if I'm concerned about the accuracy of this, you can see that there's actually a little footnote here at the end of critically evaluate output. If I click on that little number 1, then it takes me to the article and that section of the article where it's answering that question. And there are others here, like this one is 3. It's a different article, a different section. So that's the nice thing about NotebookLM versus just using a standard chatbot, because with the chatbot, you don't know where it's getting its information from. So with NotebookLM, you can. Now it does, I mean, I can go back and see some of my chat history, but it's not reliable about saving that. So I would recommend, let me just make this a little, to choose save to notes. So if I like the response that it gave me and I want to keep it, I'm going to choose save to note. And it's going to put it right here on the side that I can go to later in case this chat disappears. So let me go back to sources. Okay, and I am going to, I feel like I skipped over a few things, sorry. So the source types, files, website links, Google Docs, Google Slides, YouTube videos. You can copy text in there from, if you only want a piece of a website. You can also create your own notes. So something to think about with sources is that you are limited to 50 sources for each notebook with the standard version. And the TC account that everybody has is the standard version. Now, if with your personal Gmail, Google account, you could pay for Gemini, which includes Notebook, you would get 300 sources. But the trade-offs you have to consider is that you're not getting the protections that you would if you're using TC's Gemini. Also, a note about the YouTube videos, even though I put in the link for the YouTube video, it's actually analyzing only the transcript. It's not looking at any of the content in the image of the videos itself. And we talked about the discover source information. Okay, so the chat panel is there. You can ask a question. Oh, you can also ask it to create something. So just like you can with any chatbot. What are 3 potential research questions related to this topic? I'll go down here. I'll start typing. I'm just going to paste that in and have it generate that for me. Now notice it says it's checking 14 sources. If I want to, I can just have it check some of the sources. Right now, all sources are selected on the source panel. If I click on this, I can just click 1, 2, or 3 articles that I wanted to use when it's answering my question or generating content. So these are some potential questions that it came up with for research. Again, we have our footnotes here from what it's drawing from our sources. Okay. Alrighty, chat tips. Forgot to point out when we're in here, at the very bottom in very small letters, in very light letters, it says NotebookLM can be inaccurate. So please be sure to check your responses. So that is something you have to be aware of. Even though it's using my sources as the primary source of information, it's still using an algorithm to create the output, which means there's a lot of probability involved. It's like a bit of a prediction machine. So it can be wrong, even if you're providing all the sources. So that's why it's nice to have this chat in the middle where you can check the accuracy or check what it was using to get that answer. You can make a note and then you can save the chat as a note because the chat's not saved. All right, so we saw the sources on the left-hand panel. We saw the chat in the middle. Now we'll take a look at Studio, which is the really part that gets a lot of press about, let me just make this a little bit smaller here. This gets a lot of press about NotebookLM. So one of the first things when NotebookLM came out was that it could create an audio overview. And it's really like a podcast that was created by the AI. And there will be AI voices that will narrate the podcast or facilitate it. I don't know if they're not people, I don't know what to say. So that takes some of these take quite a while to do. So I've done some of them ahead of time, so you don't have to wait and watch me do that. So here's one I created, and this is one of the audio overviews. I'm going to click play, and now click play.
Okay, so for today's deep dive, we've got a pretty interesting mix of sources.
Lay on me.
First up, there's this research paper that takes a close look at those.
So those are AI voices. You know what? I just want to make sure when I share that I'm sharing the sound also so that you can hear that. There we go. Share the sound. There we go. So that is the audio overview, which is like a podcast. Again, the script was generated by the AI. Those are AI voices. The other interesting feature that this has is something called the interactive mode. So I'll click on interactive mode. And now when it starts playing, I can jump in and ask a question of the facilitators, the podcasters, the AIs. So I'm going to click play audio.
Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into something kind of crazy?
Crazy in a good way, I hope.
Oh wait, someone wants to join. Hey, go for it.
Hi, who's more concerned about assessment in the age of AI? Is it faculty or students?
Hi there. That's a fantastic question, and it cuts right to the heart of what we're discussing today.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's actually a bit of...
So the AI responded to the question that I verbally posed in the interactive mode. So that is one of the features that gets, as I said, a lot of press and attention with NotebookLM. You do have some options here. Any of these abilities that it has with you have a pencil, then that means you have options. You can do a deep dive, a brief, a critique, a debate. You can choose the language, the length, or you can have it focus on something specific. And when you choose generate, it will generate that audio overview. It will also create a video overview. Now, it takes a minute to get used to this, but if you click on video overview, it will start generating one right away. And that takes a long time. So I'm not going to click on it. You can see there's no pencil that goes with it. So there are no options. It just creates the video overview. So let me click on one I've already created. So here's video overview. There we go. And now I can play this by clicking on the play video.
Okay, let's jump right into a question that is suddenly on everyone's mind, from students to teachers to parents.
So the AI creates the video. It creates all the graphics that are in here. It creates all of the script, and it's an AI voice that's narrating it. So that's the video overview. So those are two of the features in the studio. Let's just take a look at, right. I gave you some examples. So I want to just talk about some tips for using the audio and video overview, just things to be aware of. So the overviews can be inaccurate, even though they're using your sources. Like I said, it's still AI, so they're still not 100% accurate all the time. They also tend to have a bit of a marketing tone. I don't know if you noticed that. I didn't play them very long, but everything is a great question. Everything is an exciting topic. So they're more marketing than they are scholarly. With the audio and the video overview, there's no way you can trace back the sources. So if they give you inaccurate information, you can't tell where it got it from or what sources that it's using, unlike when we had the chat. Also, there's no ability to add captions. So you can share those with other people. And so you can't add captions to the video. So that makes it hard for people who have a disability and need captioning for that to be available to them. It also can take a long time to generate any of those. And there is a limit on the number you can generate each day. I'm not sure what it is now because it kind of changes over time, but you do have limits on that. And if you want to customize either one of those, you need to click on the pencil icon before you generate the content. Okay. All right, the other thing that it can create is a mind map. Again, no options for this one. So let me show you one I've already created. This is a mind map, concept map, different names are used. So it's a very, very high level summary of the 13 sources that I identified. So it gives me just a few words. And if I click on them, it gives me more, takes it out another level. It's almost like a visual outline. But again, it's very broad, very high level summary. And there's no way to access the sources that it used. So beware of that. Okay, cannot verify source. The only customization you can do with it is that you can select which sources you want it to use to create the mind map. If you download it, it downloads as a PNG, which is completely inaccessible for someone who's blind or visually impaired who might need a screen reader. You click on the expand node to expand the entire map. You can also rate this and any of these other tools. And I recommend that you do that. Go back here because let me just go to here, right here at the bottom, good content, bad content. That helps it to be trained. It trains it better so that the next time you do this, you might get better results. So, alrighty. Let's see, what is next that I have here? Mind map. Oh, flashcards. So if you want to use it to help you study, you can have it create flashcards. Now this one has some options that you can set. If I click on the pencil, number of cards, you don't get to say exactly how many, fewer, standard, more, level of difficulty, easy, medium, hard. And then you can put in, like if there's a specific topic that you want it to quiz you on, you can put that in there and then click generate. So let's look at one that I already have created. Sorry, keep adding. Okay, here we go. Flashcards. I'm going to open this up to expand it. So it's at this survey, what percentage of students believe AI could negatively impact academic integrity? If I click on the flashcard, it turns over and it gives me the answer. So I can go to the next flashcard answer. You notice also that after you answer the questions, there's an explain feature. So I'll click on explain, and it does give you some information about where it got its answer from. Just takes a minute here. So you'll see the footnotes there. So that's nice to be able to double check it. So the tips for flashcards, you can customize number of cards, level of difficulty, and narrow down the topic. You can also ask it to create a quiz for you. So I will go back here. Let me go to Studio. And ooh, I'm running out of time, Ernest. And it generates some questions and there's possible answers and it tells me if I'm right or wrong. I'm not reading these. That's why I don't know all the answers. That's what I'll tell you. Oh, I got one right. Hey, completely random. All right. So it can create quizzes for you. Things to be aware of that it will connect to the source for the quiz answer after you've answered the questions. And like the flashcards, you can customize the number of questions, level of difficulty, and the topic. The other feature that it has in the studio is something called reports. And there's different kinds of reports. Create your own, a briefing, a study guide, a blog post. If we waited long enough, more would come up. And any that have the pencil, there are some options that I can select for that. Alrighty. This is a relatively new feature that's been added recently, are infographics and slide decks. So it will create a whole set of slides for you, or some really nice infographics. So let's take a look at that. I've created, here we go, video infographic, here we go. Here's one. And it used 12 sources. That's what I specified. And you can see this is like a beautiful infographic. I would never be able to create this on my own. I mean, it's would require, I don't have the graphic design skills or whatever to be able to do this. One of the issues with this is if you try to change any of this, it is extremely difficult. It's like you're fighting with the AI. If you ask it to change the title, maybe it'll change it, maybe it won't, or color. And then even if it does, sometimes it changes other things too. So it's not what you were looking for. So, I mean, if you don't get what you want on the first pass, you're going to be struggling to get it to update it to what you need. This is a slide deck that it created. So again, based on 12 sources, which looks just like, Google Slides, PowerPoint, all of these. Again, they look great. Again, very difficult to revise them to make them what you want. And they're also great eye appeal, hard to revise. The output does not meet the Americans with Disabilities Act criteria. They are completely inaccessible for someone who needs a screen reader because they're visually impaired. So something to keep in mind. You can share your notebook with others. If I click up here, I can choose share, and then I put in the person and what part they can share, the full notebook, chat only. So you have that option. And I've seen some faculty share with students. Some considerations for use. Now, even though this is the contracted version of NotebookLM or even Gemini, we strongly discourage you from uploading any personal information. Just because even though there's a contract, you never know. All of us get emails all the time that whatever system we use has been hacked. I mean, it happens a lot. It's reality. Hallucinations I've talked about, which is just a fancy way of saying that they can be inaccurate. So you really do need to know your topic to some level, so that you can spot any inaccuracies. Not all the content created is accessible. There are issues with copyright, intellectual property, while it's using the main sources that you've uploaded, it's using also some of the general knowledge that it has as well. And these AI products didn't get permission to use all of that information. The other thing, environmental issues. For these systems to work, they need very, very high-powered computer processing, which requires a lot of electricity. All of that processing heats up, so they require water to cool the systems down, and that water needs to be drinkable water. So what we are seeing is some of these under-resourced communities that have welcomed data centers to their communities are in competition with the data centers for electricity and clean drinkable water. Oh, 1 minute left. Wow. Okay. Good timing. So if you go here, we have more DFI events. And also you might want to try our video series. This is a YouTube playlist that we have that has all about AI. We have most of them are less than half an hour, but we have some shorts that are helpful about how do AI models work and AI for educators, biases. So I recommend them. They actually are very well done. Early next week sometime. Thank you all very much.